Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to Laurie's Little Studio. I'm Laurie and today I'm just going to do kind of a weird video where we're talking about a couple things and then I'm going to show you behind me where I have some of the heirloom type clothing that my mother made and I made, and I think a few friends or sisters of my mom have contributed to the wardrobe that my girls wore when they were babies up to about 5 or 6. So we'll look at some of those. I've got more of them, but for now we'll just deal with that. Last video I did, I was using my phone to record, and oh my, was the audio horrid. All right, I'm ready to hem. I don't know if that machine is going to fire up again, but we'll see. So I bought a lavalier microphone. Obviously I've already opened it, but I wanted to show you. Yeah, there's really nothing here. Just if you don't know how to use one, I guess this is the instructions for that. But if you've never used one of these and you might need to, I'll show you how it works real quick. So this is the mic part right here, and it has this little clip that clips to your shirt collar or your tie or jacket, whichever place you want to have it. Not too close to your mouth so that like every breath you take isn't amplified into the mic. So, you know, several inches down from, say, the point of a shirt collar would be a good point. It would fit right here. It just plugs in like that. These are extra little microphone covers if something happens to this, or say you and someone else are using the same microphone and you don't want to share this little piece. It just comes right off. There's the actual mic, and then you just pop this on, and it's not actually a dead cat per se, but it does sort of muffle some of the I don't know, the extra audio that you don't really want. Now, the one thing about using a lavalier is once you have plugged this in, your phone will only receive sound. It will not project sound. So you couldn't, say, call somebody on the phone and have a conversation. That would not work. So it's only meant for really and truly recording video. So, but that's my plan moving forward. I need to find some type of device where I can attach it to the front of me, like one of those chest phone holders or something. This one comes with a cord that's about 76 inches long. It's nice. I mean, the clip is not crap. It's a good little clip there. It opens fairly wide, so if you're wearing a thick jacket, you'll be able to, you know, get it on the fabric, and it holds real tight. It's not going to slip and slide around. And that is what I will be using when I record with my phone. The other thing that I will try this on is my other camera. And then it came with this little storage bag that I'm going to keep it in for the time being, and a little piece of Velcro, I guess, to keep this from rattling around. If you've got it clipped and you don't need it to be 76 or 78 inches long, you can just kind of hold it with that Velcro. Just want to let you know that I'm hoping that from now on, moving forward, the audio from my cell phone won't be so jarringly horrible. And also, this is a project that is kind of rattling around in my mind. Not this fabric, obviously, it's too pink, but I still love it and I'm going to use it for something. Just don't know what. I'm almost thinking, I swear I'm thinking a bag maybe. It would be cute. Okay, and then these I think look okay with this. Well, I don't know. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I have a pretty big dining table. It's like, to have a tablecloth fit it, it has to be 102 inches long and about 78 inches wide. Well, when you take the leaf out, of course, it becomes a round table. And I do have a beautiful round wooden Lazy Susan that my oldest daughter Candace and son-in-law got for me from World Market, in fact. If you want to look on their website. I don't know if they still have them in the store, and this one was purchased at the Linwood World Market over by Alderwood Mall, but honestly, it's been over a year. So anyway, it's big, and that's what I wanted to fit on my table, but I feel like I need to have something under it that's bigger than the Lazy Susan, but not as big as my tabletop. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about for this project. All right, so the next thing is I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this little trunk show. All right, I thought I'd start with these. This is one of the very first dresses that my mom made for when I had my first baby, Candace. And as you can see, it's held up quite well. It was worn by actually 3 babies. It does have a little bit of fraying after being washed, and I think well, no, here, it does still have its little clear snap right there, but it has a little of distortion around the collar. That just comes from wearing. So we'll just take a look. I'll zoom in on it. This is just a little geometric smocking pattern. I don't know which one it is, but you'll see it's got this row of cable stitches right here. And then of course this vine with little teeny tiny bullion roses. And then the 4-step, or maybe even more than 4-step wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll form that little heart shape as you're going along. And she did this on a micro gingham check. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was before she got her pleater. So she was taking classes at a shop in Loman's Village in River Chase, Alabama. At the time, I think it was still called Hoover, Alabama, but then that area kind of all got incorporated into River Chase off of Highway 31. And she lived down in Clinton, so she'd have to drive great distances to get to that shop. But once she got going on smocking and pleating, she bought a pleater and just went crazy smocking. This little dress has a smock sleeve right there. Being from the South, the way that we press baby or even little girl sleeves is, you know, once you take it out of the dryer and you're getting ready to go to church, you put this on the ironing board and you iron it up really good, and then you take these little sleeves and you just pull them back on themselves like this, and you put this like this. Let me back you up a little bit. You know, like this on your ironing board, and then you iron, and you will forever have that little crease right there from having done that. But it sure does make a nice little angel wing puffy sleeve, as we called them, angel wings back then. Probably still do in some heirloom circles, but anyway, that's this one. It has a very deep hem. It adds a lot of weight to the bottom of the dress. It kind of helps keep it in check when you're out in public. but it's also a great way to add growth stripes or growth potential. So if you have a very petite baby who has long legs that needs extra length, you can remove the hem and rehem it for a little bit longer dress. Or if you're skilled, you can take one of these little dresses with a lot of extra fabric down there at the bottom, and you can turn it into a little bubble like this right here. This was not done to this. This did not used to be a dress, but it has been done where you can just take one and cut it literally just like this, and you can cut so that you've got a front and a back, or however you want to do that, and make up little legs. This one has elastic in it, which will probably end up failing at some point. Elastic doesn't live forever, but this one is also smocked. Has a little bit heavier smocking on the front, and there's some pretty piping that was added along that yoke edge there and here along the back. Little tiny buttons and buttonholes. I don't like to button them because it just wears them out. And then of course the collar also has the matching piping that was made. It wasn't purchased. So, alright, so there's that. Let me put this little dress back on its hanger. I got these coat hangers off of Amazon. They came with some little dividers for size, but the sizes just don't really apply to the clothes that I have over there, because some are really tiny and some are not tiny at all. So it was like 0 to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to 12 months, and then the remaining sizes were just odd for the clothes that I still have. So let's see what's next. Oh, this was an Easter dress, and I believe it's a Cherry Williams pattern. Just your basic little yoke dress with long sleeves. So there's a little Peter Pan collar, and then there's been this little lacy trim added right at the very top of the yoke. And then these little bunnies. I think if I zoom in, it'll be better. There we go. So there's these little bunnies. Are just made of stacked cables with little flowers in between. And then open pleats right here, but on the inside you'll be able to see. So this row right here is on the inside of this dress. This just covers that. That's the lining for the little yoke. So you've got your 3 rows of smocking up here, then you've got the little bunnies, and then you've got the 3 rows of smocking right here where the dress opens up into the skirt part, and it also has a very deep hem. The sleeves are smocked at the wrists, which is really cute. And then just a little silk already pre-made rose for a little decoration there. This one ended up getting just worn to death. Both of my girls loved the bunnies. So I ended up having to repair it with some white batiste because I didn't have any of the blue. But the buttonholes and the buttons were just blitzed out. But you see, if you button it, you can't tell. So that doesn't render the dress unwearable. You just make the repairs and move on. Now I could have taken the hem down just a little and used some of this extra fabric, but that's a lot of work for just a small little repair on the back, so I didn't do that. But it was one of their favorite dresses, and I have to admit, I really love it. I always did. These are velvet coat hangers, so the dresses will not fall off. I don't know if you've ever worked with a velvet coat hanger before, but oh my goodness. Okay, so this next little dress is one that was purchased from a store in South Carolina in 1987. And as you can see, it's a perfectly smocked, pleated little dress. Let me move you down again. I think it just looks better on camera. Yeah, there we go. So it is pleated quite a bit. It's, let's see, we've got 5 inches from the shoulder of this dress to down here. That's 5 inches right there. And a lot of back smocking. You can see on the inside, just rows and rows and rows, just to hold these pleats in place. And then they're just lightly decorated with little roses, and those are bullion roses. The 2 outer stitches are pale pink, and the center is a little bit deeper pink. Let's see if we can get the camera to pick that up. I don't know. Maybe. It always looks different when I'm editing. I'm like, oh yeah, that did turn out. So, and then the green, just kind of, you know, here and there. And then these diamonds are, you would go all the way up and then all the way down and then all the way up and then you would come back and cut into, you know, and just kind of do the next row and then the next row, and you end up with this pattern, which I think is really, it looks very difficult, but it's really very easy. So there's that. And then they did not smock the sleeves. It's just a piece of thread elastic to make the little ruffly sleeves. Peter Pan collar. It buttons in the back. It also has a very deep hem. It's a 6-inch hem, so it's 12 inches because it's completely folded over on itself. And this was a gift. One of my mother's sisters sent it, and I've always admired it. I don't know where she purchased it, but it's hand embroidered, and the name of the dress is Pastels. It was made in the Philippines. It's 65% polyester, 35% cotton. Machine wash warm, which I always hand washed back in those days when I only had one baby and could do a lot of things. It's pretty. I'm gonna hang these 4 up and come back with 4 others. So look at this. Adorable. It is just simply a little cross-stitch panel that was stitched onto the front of this little dress. I think it turned out really cute. Little balloons. It has definitely suffered from wear and tear, as has this little dress. It obviously was a deeper shade of blue, and it's very faded. You can kind of see, I did let the hem out on this one, and there's a line where at one time this was the hem, but I let it out, and this dress fit, except that it just needed a little bit more length. So my mother made this one. I made this little panel for her to put on the front because before I learned how to smock, this was what I would do. And then shortly after this was made, I decided that's it, I've got to learn how to smock. So that's what happened. She used a little bit of piping here on the sleeves. It also is on the little Peter Pan collar, which really makes that stand out. I think it's so cute. This is a little button up the back dress that has these little mother of pearl flower shaped buttons. Now this is something that I recommend if you go to a thrift store, or say just an old vintage kind of off the beaten path usually store, and you see really ratty tatty, like you really wouldn't purchase the baby outfit for the baby outfit. Look at the buttons, because that $1.50 or even $3.50 that's the price tag for that little dress or those little clothes is well worth it if you get the buttons. So you can just take the buttons off and then either use the little baby garment as filler for a project that you're working on, cut off elements. Remember, you don't have anything emotionally invested in something that you purchase from a store like that, but you can certainly use bits and pieces of it. But the buttons are often just awesome and so worth the money. Okay, so there's this little dress. It's just gonna live on like this. Now you might hear clicks as I'm pulling these coat hangers off of hooks over here, and I don't mean for that to happen. Here's this one. Okay, so this was an idea that my mom had. She was trying to come up with a dress that would be perfect for Christmas, but could also be worn other times and not be specific to Christmas. I thought it was absolutely brilliant because they look like roses, but the pattern that she used was called Holly Berry. So, oh, sorry about that. This is a bishop dress. As you can see, let me take it off the hanger. Okay. It has this type of sleeve that is cut into the dress top and back, and then you just have a seam on the underside. So when you pleat this, you have to know specifically how to get a bishop rolled up on your dowel to go through the pleater properly. This one, it's really held up well. Both Candace and Jessica wore this dress. It again has the super deep hem. Let's see again, I believe that would be 6 inches, yep. So really 12 because it's folded under. Yeah, it's folded over on top of itself. And then we have the little pleated wrist area down here on these long sleeves. And it hasn't really shown a lot of wear and tear. It's lasted through all those washings. Now this is just a batiste fabric. Most of her dresses were made from just plain old, everyday, ordinary batiste. A few were made with expensive, like Barissima or something along those lines. Okay, this one is made from a baby whale corduroy, and it has just basically gotten worn to death. It has a little pinafore that goes with it. Let me go see if I can find it real quick. I'm not 100% sure if this is the one that she made to go with this dress, but I almost think it is. But no, I don't think so, because I let the hem out of this one. I'm pretty sure I re-hemmed it. Boy, it's been, maybe not. It's been a lot of years. I'm just going to say that. But this, the idea was I was going to do a little bit of cross stitch to make this also work for Valentine's Day, and because this was a Christmas dress, and I know that there was a pinafore that went with it. I kind of think it was this one, but there's so many things floating around in this house that it's possible this pinafore went to a different dress. Although I'm kind of thinking, I know we had a coat that went with this, and then we had the pinafore. Oh, this pinafore obviously is not the right one, because when I had the pinafore on, it didn't show any of this heart, so it clearly would have come up. Maybe I don't have it pulled up far enough. No, it's right on the shoulder seams. But that's a way to expand a wardrobe for a little girl, is to use, for example, red, and then you can turn it into a Valentine's dress and a Christmas dress. I think it's easier to do that using a pinafore. For example, a heart on the front of the pinafore would be really cute. But then again, this was also a cute outfit. I just don't know where the pinafore... I have just tons and tons of these baby dresses. This is just nothing. And even what's hanging up behind me, which is a huge amount of... I have several here beside me, but I'll throw a picture up so you can see what I'm talking about. That's just a fraction. There are closets of clothes that my girls had when they were young. This is just a little piece of embroidered eyelet. And these come in all different types of embroidery patterns, so you could choose one specific to a holiday or, you know, a season. They're very easy to find, either online or in fabric stores even. And they just do so much for a little dress, in my opinion. Maybe I should do a video on how to make a pinafore. The nice thing about them is they hide stains and tears, etc., etc. But there we go. How cute is that? It's just precious. And you can also use this pinafore on a different dress, so it'll change up the look quite a bit. Okay, this one is, we're getting a little bit older. These dresses were made on into, like, even the girls were in school. But this was a really pretty smocking pattern plate. I think it was for Easter. I'm pretty sure it was designed to be an Easter print. So we'll take a little bit closer look. We have these crosses or X's, however you want to describe those, and then the stacked hearts, stacked cable hearts, and then a vine with little flowers, and then we have those hearts that are created using waves, and then little flowers in the middle, and then a different colorway on this bottom set of X's. And then there's entree with French lace attached for the collar, right here. And then a cotton lace beading on the sleeve, so it's been attached. It either came with an entree edge, or entree was attached to the fabric, and then this beading was attached to the entree, and then I'm going to say the beading had entree, and then the French lace was added to the beading, and this little ribbon was inserted through the beaded lace to create the sleeves. And the back, rather than a sash, has a little button belt back here. So this is the inside of the smocking. Some people have gotten really good at hiding all of their smocking on the inside. If you feel like you need to do that, then absolutely you should do that. I, for one, enjoy just smocking and not worrying so much about what people can't see. But there's that. Made with a pretty kind of a pale yellow batiste and another huge hem. Alright. This is a Christmas dress that has been worn almost to pieces. My mother loved the strawberry motif. It was, honestly, it was her favorite. She just loved it. She would make nightgowns for adults. She would make this type of dress for little girls. Now, she did do a lot of these dresses for her community of Belhaven, North Carolina. Miss Alice dresses were very common. They were purchased by grandmothers and aunts and moms and dads and friends and all kinds of people for new babies and little girls, and they were just everywhere. 30 years ago, those were the dresses that you had if you lived in Belhaven and you were born in that time frame. Okay, so this one has the little green piping across the back and on the collar. Just really cute. She smocked the sleeves. And this has a white, I'm going to say it's a floche because it seems to be just one strand right here at the bottom. And I know she put it there to kind of help hold some of this extra fabric. But there's these nice pretty hearts, and then we've got just this interesting design made of little short waves, and the strawberries, which are stacked cables, and then kind of a dense, it looks like bullion roses with more of this, and then a few green bullion roses mixed in with the red up here. Just really cute dress. And this one has, if I'm not mistaken, yes, okay. So this is a design that we'll talk about. I have not ironed this, as you can see, but I could either replace it if I wanted to. It's a double faced, so it's on this side it's satin and on this side it's satin, and it feels just absolutely luxurious. It's ribbon, and it goes into these buttonholes that have been created all along this edge right here. Let me get this. Once I get one pulled through, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I see I've caught a thread. Let me snip that real quick. Okay. So as you can see, it just comes up, and then you would just thread this through, over, under, because it's like wherever there is a square of smocking, right next to it will be a buttonhole, and that goes all the way across the front of this dress, and then this becomes the sash that ties in the back like this. So you would have all of this through that beading that she created using buttonholes on the front, and then you would tie the sash in the back. I don't remember the name of the smocking plate. I know that it was wildly popular. In fact, it was featured in a So Beautiful magazine, which was the Martha Pullen Company magazine that my mother subscribed to, and had access to just so many patterns and smocking plates and all kinds of things. And this was one of the dresses. So the collar is created as a Peter Pan collar, and there is Whoop, wrong button. Entree attached, and then this pretty ecru French lace was gathered and then added to the entree. And there's some cotton beaded lace right across the front here with the same color ribbon threaded through the beading. And the sleeves were done using a grosgrain and then through the same lace that's on the front, and then there is the entree with the same lace that was used on the collar, but this has not been gathered. So that's the very top of the dress. I'll back up a little, or I'll push the wrong button and zoom you in, okay? And then there's, I think she just used 2 colors of floss, sort of a creamy color and then sort of a, almost a cafe au lait, or I don't know, just kind of a really pretty muted tone to make these bows and some of the smocking and these little diamonds down here. And of course inside it will have back smocking because there's a lot of space between the actual smocking on the front. So she's got some back smocking right in the middle to kind of keep everything together. So there's that one. And then there's this one, which also had a ribbon, and I don't know what happened to it, but as you can see, there are buttonholes here. Some of these got, over the years of being washed and worn and used, they got a little bit torn up, and I could go in by hand, and I might do that just to keep it from ripping apart. Just go in and just whip around the edges of those to kind of keep them from completely degrading. But we have that Swiss lace, Swiss beaded lace on the sleeves with a little gather at the bottom right there, and a ruffle neck on this little dress, and then kind of a lot of smocking. I mean, this might be a Grace L. Knott plate. If I recognize this, it could be. It could even be a Wendy Shane. I don't know. Some of them I can tell you, and some I just honestly don't remember. It's been over 30 years. So we have a lot of heavy smocking here, and then just a row of cables, and then some big, almost echoing the same but blown up a little bit right through here, and then some cables, and then the little part that this would be visible and the ribbon would go underneath. So that's how that works, and it just makes these little smocked pieces right here just pop, just stand out. And then this is the back of the dress, and I don't know if you can see, but it has a little bit of a piping edge right there. And my mom made all of her piping herself. Oh, and on this dress, she used bullion roses in blue to attach the buttons that go down the back. I don't know if that's showing up, but each one has the blue. Really cute. All right, and I'll do one more set. Welcome to Christmas. This was one of my all-time favorite. I mean, I know I say that on every single one of them, but I can't help myself. I'm a big green fan, and I loved the shade that this green with this white, it just pops for me. And I liked the fact that it wasn't traditional red and white. I like a completely different look. And this is one of those dresses where if you wanted to reuse it, you could make a little pinafore and use that to cover it up, and you've got a completely different dress that you can wear for a completely different reason. But the snowmen were really cute. And I don't know what the pattern, I don't know who designed it. So anyway, this is just picture smocking. Stacked cables is how we create these designs. And then of course little snowflakes. It's just adorable. So, and it's just a very basic little dress with the white piping. Very unassuming as far as the style of the dress. And okay, so there's that one. I remember this dress really well. We moved to Kansas. So we moved from Alabama to Kansas when Candace wore this dress. And it was just a huge hit among all the people that we met. Candace loved this dress, and my mother made it with a lot of grow lengths in it. Grow stripes on the sleeves as well as down here on the hem. So of course the way this works is you take out one and then you take out the next one, and your dress is super long, or as long as you need it to be. And you can see Candace really had fun. It looks like paint. Oh, that's definitely paint. And I know where that's from. It's from Vacation Bible School. So it looks a little suspect, but I promise it's paint. I remember it clearly. So anyway, it has a little Peter Pan ruffle collar, gathered up puffy sleeves, and a big pretty sash, nice and long, so you can create a big bow in the back should you want to. Really cute dress. And I'm so glad. I love that I still have these. It just means a lot to me. I no longer have my mom, but I think of her every time I look at these. Wouldn't get rid of them for anything. Alright, and then this one my mother made for Jessica when Jessica turned 4. And she wore it on her 4th birthday. But anyway, so this was a set, obviously. It's just your basic little dress. It's just a yoke dress. No big, so much fuzz. You know, no big surprises with this one. It does have a little piping edge, but it's got the yoke and then the skirt, and then the back is just, oops, button up. Same thing in the back. It's going to have piping and then buttons up the back. The thing that makes it pop is its little accompanying pinafore, which Jessica loved, still does. These colors are, she buys clothes as an adult woman in this plaid. It's a favorite. And then my mom just chose the colors to correspond and basically made up her own little smocking plate and just whipped up this little pinafore that hooks like so right over the top of the shoulders, and then these just button like so on the back of the straps. And Jessica loved it and wore it constantly, all the time. So that's that. And then this is the last dress that I'm going to talk about, but I do have some collars. This was kind of all the rage for a while. This one got washed with something red, and it now has this weird pink cast to it. But this is silk ribbon embroidery. It was a class that I taught on weaving and then filling in around the edges with French knots in the silk ribbon. And then we just did vines and more French knots. And then on the back we did a heart that we dot with pearls. And then it's lined and you add your lace around the edge. Stitch the whole thing together. And I cannot bleach it because if I do, it will affect the color. So I'm just going to leave it like this. But you can tell at one time it was this pretty white fabric, and now it's just this weird pink. This is a little smocked collar that you can put over the top of any dress. If I had that little red corduroy dress. So as you can see, it just has a self fabric loop and a button. It's one of the more fun classes to teach when you're teaching smocking because you can get all those elements in there. How to smock, how to add lace, all that sort of thing. So we've got the row of white up here, and then just little holly berries, or I guess roses, and then some cotton, Swiss cotton lace attached to the bottom of this. And this fabric is cotton voile. Wow. And there we go. So that's another way that you can kind of hide, if you want to hide a design on the front of the dress. You can make a little collar and then have them wear the collar with the dress. If I didn't have this pinafore on here, I suppose I can take it off. I'm driving myself crazy. Here we go. And to be honest, all of these that I'm showing you would be perfectly fine for a doll. So if you don't have babies to sew for, but you want to make these little small clothing items, a doll in these sizes, or even smaller, because you can reduce these, every one of these items down to a small. See, that would be kind of cute, just like that. Perfect. Okay. All right, I need to hang that back up. And then here's another example of that, and it's been pleated and smocked on a Christmas piece of Swiss lace. And it has a little Christmas tree. Let me turn it this way. A little Christmas tree motif on there. And it's one that I used a pin, an actual, you know, like a pin that you would wear to close it in the back. It's just a little gold bar. And so there's that one. A little bit more Christmassy, I think, because of the Christmas trees. And it also had that little teeny tiny beading at the bottom, and I just wove the same floss through that on the bottom edge to kind of give it a little bit more Christmas pop down there. And then this is shadow embroidery. So it's a different type of embroidery where your thread is on the back of your design and you just stitch, and it's a very fun project. You can kind of see all the thread is underneath the lining piece, but then it's just this outline. It looks so hard and complicated, and yet it's very simple to do. So there's that shadow embroidery with silk ribbon and cotton floss added for other dimension, and then just blended cotton floss whip stitched around the bottom. And that is a piece of self-cording. Like I made a piece of cording from the fabric, attached it to the bottom of this, flipped the whole thing inside out, and then stitched this all the way around. And again, this is also one of those that I used a pin. If I can find one of those pins, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But this was worn on top of a dress that I don't know where it is. I know I still have it, but it's somewhere in the wild blue yonder of the house. But oh, it's kind of cute. You can just play with this stuff all day long. Alright, so this little heirloom dress was made by my mom, and it features pin tucks on Barissima, which is a very high quality Swiss batiste. It is, I think, around $32 a yard now. We have a front panel made from insertion lace, which is flat on both sides. There's not a ruffly edge. So if you have lace that's flat on both sides, it's called insertion lace. And this is Swiss. And then there's obviously the entredeux, which will connect each of these pieces. And it runs all the way down the front of this beautiful dress, right along all the way down to the hem, and is actually hemmed into the hem, along with there's some wear and tear, which you can fix. That's totally fixable. So we also have pin tucks down here at the hem with another row of that insertion lace with a nice deep hem. And then the waistband is, the fabric is not cut away from the behind the lace, which is usually what you do when you do an insertion piece, but this is left for structural integrity. And then all of that is attached, and the back has buttons, a very deep placket. I think this is a snap at the actual waist. And there's that deep placket, and this buttons up the back with these buttons, and there are pin tucks across the back there, and then the sleeves have a beaded lace with double face satin ribbon, and of course there's entredeux and some French lace, which as you can see is ruffly. So those are the sleeves. So with a dress like this, you would want a slip. So I made one. Let me grab it real quick. And this little slip features silk ribbon embroidery all around the hem on the front side. And then the letter J is shadow embroidered with this little plate and some more embroidery from the silk ribbon. And then as you can see, it's been worn and worn and worn, and it has little lingerie size buttons on the back. I did the buttonholes in floche. I know you've heard me talk about floche. So this little slip is designed to be worn under this dress. Now the nice thing is when you do a dress like this, you can actually make several slips, and they can all be made in beautiful colors. Okay, there we go. So for example, if you had a yellow fabric, the slip could be made from yellow and it would shadow through in some of these areas. It would be just beautiful. Let's take this, I think I have this little purple puppy dress. And we'll put this up underneath and see what that looks like. Sure if you can see it, but it makes such a pretty color. I think you can see the purple coming through right along in there. It's just beautiful. So you could do blue or pink or purple, any of those colors that you think would be pretty. It almost gives it the shadow embroidery effect without having to do the shadow embroidery. Right? Okay guys, well thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.